What's up, guys? We're gonna Real Beats. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make an old school sample from scratch. If you guys haven't subbed already or returned post news on, you should do so because it does help it a lot. So let's hop right into it. So BPM, I'm just gonna use 60. So anything in halftime will work, and I just suggest this because it's slower and it'll just sound a little bit more convincing rather than something like 170. And then one thing I like to do with these is turn it swing up a bit. You could do about 20 to 40. I'm gonna just do about 20 because basically you want to humanize the melodies. You don't want them to be completely on the grid all the time. So this is going to help with that. So we can just go ahead and get started with our first chords or whatever. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is show you how to start a melody just without scales from the ground up. Because I'm not going to be using a scale for this video because I don't want to be locked into a formula, and I just want ultimate freedom on whatever sound I want to make. So for this, what you can do, we can go into the bass, right? And then from here you can just pick any note. It doesn't really matter. So you can pick E, for example, and the numbers you want to remember is 7 and 5. So you can go down 7, up 7, or you can go down 5 or up 5. So for example, we go down 5, 1 2 3 4 5, right? Now we can pull this up, and if you go up 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, okay, it lands on the same thing. And obviously it would be the same if you go down 2. Okay, so that is how you can get a given note that works. So let's pull this up, and then from here all you have to do is just think of 2 notes that you like that go with these, right? So what I'm gonna do is just pull in the scale just so you can see, right? And then all you have to do is choose 2 notes. So you just choose basically a sequence of notes that loop well. So it could be, do something like this. And that works too, right? So just choose what you like. All right. So that's pretty much how you started, and then from there you just kind of make your chords, which we'll do next. Okay, so real quick, since I'm not using a scale, I want to explain how I'm going to be building my chords, and it's just using tones. And the tone method, or it's not really a method, but it's just how I do it. I just use every single note, right? I don't lock myself into a specific scale. This would be the minor scale. And most people, they say, okay, these are the only notes you can use to make this melody, which is not true. You can use these notes in between as well, right? This is just a formula that is proven to give you a certain sound. So with this, you can kind of just move these notes along the line and find what note you like the best, right? And don't think about a scale or if it's in key, this, that. Just focus on if it sounds good, right? So I'm gonna start up here. So these 4 notes I like the most out of all of those in between. So now you can just choose which ones you like the most. Okay. I like that D sharp. Same thing here. You can do the same thing. Okay. And you can keep doing this all the way up. And then when you want to make some other chords, you can just copy this over, right? And you can just delete some stuff, and then you can do the same thing right in between. Right, so that's just a rundown. I'm gonna leave it at that, and we can just go ahead and get started making our chords. All right, so here's our original chord, and I'm gonna just go ahead and use this. So I'm gonna change my grid to the thirds, and then I'm gonna offset these. And like I said, you could choose a note to start with. So we could do the B, move this over, and you can just start doing the same thing. Let's probably finish this out. So it's a B minor. And then from here, just choose some notes. Try this A. And let's do the same little pattern throughout. Okay, and then we can kind of keep going with this, right? If you want to just pull this over and you want to go down as well, that should sound good, because I think we're using a G sharp here, so this should sound good. And then from here we could just 1 2 3 build our, what is this? This would be a C sharp minor. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out just to save time. Then I'll just play the whole thing when we're finished. All right, so these are our chords. I'm just play it all the way through, and I'm gonna just speed this up a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our second instrument. All right, so now we're just gonna use some bells, and it's just a layer with the chords, and I'm gonna just kind of build these out. Some of these don't play, but I'll just leave it. So I'm just go ahead and just pull these all the way up. All right, so what I'm gonna do is Control A and then Alt S, and then I'm just gonna strum it like this. Okay, and you can copy these settings if you want. All right, so those are our bells, and let's move on to our guitar. All right, so now we have a guitar, and this is where it gets fun because we kind of got the chords down. So all we gotta do is just kind of play around with notes that we want. So I might fast forward a little bit halfway through this just to save time, but for now I'm just kind of just play around with some notes. So we are on the thirds grid. So what I'm gonna do is actually just flip from grid to grid depending on what I like. So all right, so here's the guitar melody all the way through. All right, so let's move on to the next instrument. All right, so now I'm gonna do the strings and the lead together just because I'm gonna make these super simple. So I'm gonna probably turn this down a little bit more, and we can just try to choose any notes. So I'm gonna just use this F. And then we just kind of go along these lines and see what works. All right, no strings are really pulling it together, so I like that. And now we do the lead, and this is Falcon. This is just like probably should go back to this. This is a little, I don't even know what to call it, but I like this sound. And for this, I'm gonna just kind of throw it in. Just kind of, probably shouldn't put it that loud. Okay, I think that's subtle enough. So that is the lead and the strings, and we already put the bass in earlier, so now we can kind of add vocals and our like little other elements. All right, so I usually use distant voices for stuff like this. So this is what I chose, and this is just, now since this isn't specifically in a scale and we can't really tell what key it's in, I usually just go all the way down until I find what sounds good. So I'm gonna just do that real quick. Okay, I like that. Right, and then you can kind of flip far from the major too to see which one you like. So I'm gonna just use that A right in here. I kind of like that sound anyway. I think I'm just use this one. And I think just to save time, I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't really need the vocals playing the whole time. It's just like specific, right? So those are the vocals, and let's move on to, I guess, the actual drums. Okay, so the last thing you want is just like live hats or drums or percussion, and this is just to make it sound a little bit more real. So the grid you want to use for this is 1/3 step, and you can kind of just place these wherever and then you want the velocity very low, so it's not kind of being annoying. And this is the pretty much the, I guess you could say, the pattern that I use. And then you can do this, and then for this velocity you want these very low, and you want to kind of like just play with it so it sounds a little bit realistic, right? And I think this is the wrong one. Put this one here and delete these. Something like that, right? So I'm gonna go through and do both real quick, and then I'll show you after. All right, so this is what it sounds like. I'm gonna just play this part real quick, and this is the other one. You can just place these wherever you feel. All right, just to add something more to it. All right, so this is the whole sample, and then I'm gonna just show you the processing after this. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just show you the processing you can put on something like this. All right, so I'm gonna just do a quick rundown of the processing. So I just pan things left and right so it's not all in the middle. So we can do a little bit more, like, just, you know, doesn't have to be this crazy, but just pan it a little bit. I'm gonna just put RC20 on my vocals, take out the bass, and then to put everything in a bus, you want to control, click and drag all the way to the track you want to use. Right click, track routing, and then click the second one right here. And then this is what I'm using for this bus, I guess, and I'll turn it on to RC20. This is a custom preset. You can copy it if you need. And then baked preset in reels, and this is the only preset I use in here. And then I just do this little EQing, right? And I'll play it. Right, and this is without my like master plugin, and this is what I use. I'm not just using this lo-fi bliss, and I just turn the mix down, and I'll just show you what that sounds like. All right, and that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was helpful. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.